Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all. French President Emmanuel Macron is very upset with Vladimir Putin, with Russia. Emmanuel Macron is no longer limiting himself to the schemes he is organizing in coordinated action with Great Britain and Ukraine against Russia. Emmanuel Macron is breaking his silence. He has just seriously threatened Vladimir Putin's Russia. He has just threatened Vladimir Putin. Yes, because yesterday, April 4th, 2025, what happened in the hometown of Volodymyr Zelensky? What happened there? It's inexplicable. Russia sent several drones and missiles that sent several NATO officers and Ukrainian army unit commanders to eternal rest. Following that, Vladimir Zelensky spoke out. He criticized the guilty silence of his Western allies. And that President Macron does not want to let it slide. He does not want people to say that they are silent. If everyone is silent, he carries the voice of Europe. So he came out, he spoke. He threatens Vladimir Putin. So, in the context of this video conference, this is what we are going to talk about. Thank you for sharing this video conference as much as possible. Thank you for allowing others to receive information about world news, international news. Thank you for leaving many likes, and don't forget to share this video conference as much as you can. That's what it's about. So let's dive deep, ladies and gentlemen. The situation is serious. France is seriously provoking Russia. While Vladimir Putin has given a warning to Emmanuel Macron refuses to understand. So, what needs to be said already? After Zelensky accused his Western allies of remaining silent about what happened in his hometown, Emmanuel Macron made a tweet. He says this. He made a tweet where he says this. He says, "On this day of national mourning in Ukraine, I am thinking of the children and all the civilian victims. Deadly strikes carried out by Russia, like in Kiev Riz, on April 4th. He continues, he says, again last night, the number of Russian strikes targeted several residential areas of Kiev. There you go. And then he continues. He now goes into the depths. French President Emmanuel Macron calls for strong actions against Russia, against Vladimir Putin, if Russia continues to refuse peace. That's the French rhetoric. That's the new Western rhetoric. They say that Russia refuses peace. But how does Russia refuse peace? Yet Russia was not the first to violate the ceasefire. The ceasefire violation happened right in front of all of us here. France said nothing. Great Britain said nothing. America also said nothing. Emmanuel Macron continues. He says this. He says that these Russian strikes must end. A ceasefire is needed as soon as possible. And strong actions if Russia continues to try to buy time and refuse peace. Here is the statement he made on X. So for him, Russia refuses to sign the ceasefire agreement. Russia wants to buy time. So, as Russia wants to buy time by continuing to massively strike Ukraine, and since, through these strikes, Russia is reclaiming territories, he says that very strong decisions need to be made. And so, what type of decision is Emmanuel Macron talking about? What type of strong action? He would like Europe to take, or at least for Ukraine's allies to take, the sanctions he wants. The actions he wants to be taken are based on massive sanctions. He wants Russia to be sanctioned massively again to finally put pressure on Russia, which will push Russia to itself feeling obligated to go to them to ask for negotiations. And you see, upon reaching this point, we are going to insert a small parenthesis. Afterwards, we will continue with Macron's statements. We will take a small pause to analyze what he just said. You see, it's as if these people don't learn from the past. I don't know how they think. For how long have they been saying, let's use force? Let's force Russia to come to us to negotiate. That's what puts us in a position of strength. For how long have they been saying it, but it has never worked? They have never succeeded, not even for a single moment. Through their economic sanctions, through their military operations, like what they did in Kursk, through everything they want, they have never succeeded in weakening Russia to the point of pushing Russia to request dialogue. They want Russia to request dialogue. But Emmanuel Macron even forgets the words of General Cavoli, who is the commander of NATO's joint forces. And he is an American. We know the power of America. General Cavoli, he is the commander of the joint forces, as they say, NATO's joint forces. This general has told Europe and anyone who wants to listen that Russia is ready. For a long time, Russia has been preparing and Russia is ready. It can sustain a war, a long-term conflict, both economically and militarily. Is Macron starting to understand things? Russia did not take the first step during past negotiations, but Russia was very flexible. Russia only set a few small conditions. So they saw that, since it is America that is asking for dialogue, it was as if it was Ukraine asking for dialogue, negotiations. It was as if Ukraine was asking for talks. So efforts must be made to achieve a turnaround, to reverse the situation so that it is Russia that takes the first step. But that's in a dream, dear lady, dear sir. Emmanuel, Macron is sleeping. He needs to be woken up. So, he says this. He emphasizes, saying that Ukraine has accepted President Trump's proposal for a complete and unconditional ceasefire for 30 days. It has already been nearly a month that we have been working with all partners on ways to secure peace. Russia continues the war with renewed intensity and showing no regard for civilians. He asks how long Russia will continue to play. Peace overtures from the United States and Ukraine. So, Russia is playing with the peace overture from the United States and Ukraine. So, for now, this opening needs to be closed. Opening. Russia must be constrained by force, but his own country, what force? They don't have it. The military, they don't have it. Recently, France launched a recruitment. People refused. The French refused. They say they cannot go to their eternal rest for Ukraine. So here is what Emmanuel Macron just said. In any case, the tandem between Emmanuel Macron and Vladimir Putin is becoming very interesting. Vladimir Putin gives him a final warning. He steps out again. It's a game of ping-pong. We, spectators, we will continue to follow everything that will result from this. We will come here to the Tribune of Awakening of Consciences to discuss it. Thank you to everyone. Thank you for sharing this video conference as much as possible. I will get back to you shortly with new updates. This was the voice of your one and only Samurai.